I'm not sure if you're aware, but 55 million people worldwide are living with Alzheimer's or some other form of dementia. And I'm also not sure if you know that Ted Turner, who founded CNN, we won't hold that against him, he just died after being diagnosed with something called Lewy body, which is something I've never even heard about. So I want to bring on Kim Bright, founder of Brightcore, who's been helping Americans get healthy for over 50 years, to maybe tell us a little bit about what in the heck Lewy body was. Kim, good morning. How are you?
Well, good morning, Barry. Yeah, I'm so sad, Ted Turner, who was a pioneer in bringing that 24-hour news to TV, he passed on. But we all know CNN's turned into something that I'm sure he didn't intend on. But I do have to say I love his TCM classics. Now, this Lewy body that you're talking about, this is a Lewy body dementia, and he was diagnosed with it in 2018.
He revealed he had Lewy body dementia, a progressive disease that affects the mind and the body.
It's probably underdiagnosed.
Dr. Jack Shen is a neurologist with Wellstar, and while he did not treat Turner, he specializes in movement disorders.
It's a condition that can look a little bit like Alzheimer's, but a lot like Parkinson's disease.
LBD develops when protein deposits in the brain's nerve cells affect thinking, memory, and movement, and causes a mental decline over time.
The number you see floating out there in terms of prognosis is 3 to 8 years, maybe on average 7 years.
Yeah, and Lewy body dementia is the second most common progressive dementia after Alzheimer's. Now, that makes up 60 to 80% of all dementia cases. And Lewy body is a very complicated form, Barry, of dementia, and it's affected more than 1 million people. And that includes comedian Robin Williams, baseball legend Tom Seaver, and just like Alzheimer's disease, it often begins years before it's noticed. It's a battle that you could be fighting for years before you actually get diagnosed.
So let me ask you a question. One quick question. I thought Robin Williams had depression, so it wasn't really, is that a side effect of Lewy body, or did people misdiagnose it?
Well, it could have been misdiagnosed. There's all kinds of things that can be side effects, like stiffness and going in and out of being able to tell what's real and not, hallucinations. There's memory problems. There's decline in thinking ability. But he could have it could have been a side effect, but it could also have been misdiagnosed.
Wow.
But, certain medications can increase your risk of dementia too. And they're so common. I really want to make a list here for your viewers, because they might be taking one of these every day. Some examples of these drugs are antidepressants like Paxil, Parkinson's drugs, antipsychotics, anti-nausea drugs, muscle and urinary bladder relaxers, anti-seizure drugs, and even histamines, Barry, like Benadryl.
You covered like almost everything everybody's taking, so you could have just put an asterisk and go, everything you're taking right now could be causing this. And I know you don't know this, because nobody knows it, which is scary, is we don't know what the effects of these GLPs and Ozempic stuff is going to be later on in life either. So it's crazy.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, let's include the chemicals that they've been dumping in our food and our water. And those are also leading to more dementia. I mean, there's so many toxic particles in the air we're breathing that are increasing our risk of dementia. I mean, neurotoxic pesticides that they use in agriculture, pollution from wildfires. Look at all the stuff they spray in the air there, and it's just getting worse every day for us.
In tonight's Health Watch report, a new study links dementia to air pollution. Research from the University of Cambridge found long-term exposure to air pollution from car exhaust emissions, wood-burning stoves, fireplaces, and construction dust were all robustly linked to dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Researchers used data from almost 30 million people, mainly in Europe and the U.S. Scientists expect the number of people with dementia worldwide could triple by the year 2050.
Yeah, Barry, I'm 71 now. And so it's more important to me than ever to keep my brain healthy. And the scary thing is that this doesn't just affect older people. Early onset Alzheimer's now affecting people in their 30s and 40s like you. So you're absolutely right. There's so many people that are losing their mental faculties before their bodies even start deteriorating from age. And there's reports out there too, Barry, that show spikes such as a 373% increase in diagnosis among 30 to 44-year-olds and a 311% increase in 45 to 54-year-olds.
I gotta ask you, do you think, and I know we have to be very careful with this touchy subject, I'm not sure when this happened as we started seeing the spike. You think it has anything to do with what happened a couple years ago? Either the virus itself or the jab thereafter?
Well, I would say that there's a high probability that it could definitely have attributed to this as well. So anytime you're going to pour more chemicals in the human body, I think you run the risk of all kinds of things happening, including dementia. And, there's so many frightening stories out there, Barry, of people who don't notice any signs before it's too late. I mean, people don't even realize they're suffering from dementia because they miss early signs. And these can happen in any order. And I'm talking about things like short-term memory loss, where you forget recent events, where you forget conversations, appointments, even people's names that you've known forever. Repetitive behavior. You ask the same questions over and over. You tell the same stories over and over in a very short time frame. Maybe you're struggling to find the right words and you say something wrong. You substitute inappropriate words, or you halt mid-conversation and you don't even remember what you're talking about. Getting lost or forgetting what date it is, simple daily tasks that you struggle with, where maybe you're losing interest in your hobbies, your work, social engagements, and you can have changes in your vision or your smell, and even other senses. And gradual unexplained weight loss can sometimes appear before major cognitive decline. And in rare cases, Barry, especially with types like Lewy body dementia, movement issues or small muscle twitches can be an early warning sign.
How many different kinds of Alzheimer's and dementias? I've never heard of Lewy body ever. Obviously, I've known people who have had Alzheimer's or dementia and who have died from it. But where'd that come from?
Well, I don't know. If it fell out of the sky, I have no idea. I don't know. You're asking me a question I can't answer. But it is the second most common after Alzheimer's. And as I said, Alzheimer's makes up to 80% of the dementia cases. So Lewy body is, the other one. So it's second after that.
How long does it take for it to, like Ted Turner? I saw some stuff on television, and he was able to come on and do an interview and admit that he had it well before the time that he succumbed. So it's just a sad thing, because I've had relatives and you just sit there and watch them decay, and it's crazy. And once that happens, I guess we've seen it. There's nothing you can do so unless you do something on the front end, it's almost like a death sentence.
Exactly. And it's interesting because I saw that same interview and I thought it was AI at first because I didn't see that it was done in 2019. Yeah. And he was diagnosed in 2018. But already by 2019, he was very stiff. And if you noticed his movements and the way he spoke, it wasn't his normal way of speaking. So these things really started showing up. And as I said earlier, it can be as long as 18 years before it's diagnosed, or maybe only 2 years. Wow. So this, it runs the whole gamut of those years. But it definitely showed up in him.
So let's talk about what's going on in your brains when you get dementia. I know there's some things that you want to talk about in regards to that.
Yeah, I want to talk about beta amyloid. That is a sticky protein fragment that can build up in the brain if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not eating well, if you're not doing the things you need to do to take care of yourself. And what it does is it actually builds up and it will block the neurons from communicating and making connections and speaking with each other. And this is what causes Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. Now, normally the brain can clear away these proteins if you're taking really good care of yourself. But in dementia, the beta amyloid can clump together and form what's called plaques between the brain cells. Now, these plaques are going to interfere, as I said, with the communication between neurons. They're going to trigger inflammation, and they may eventually damage or kill those brain cells. Wow. And over time, Barry, what this does is it's going to affect your memory, your thinking, your reasoning, mood, behavior, and most importantly, our ability to perform daily tasks. And there's research out that also shows that if we can remove the beta amyloid plaque, we could essentially prevent Alzheimer's disease and dementia from occurring. And drug companies have spent billions, I said billions of dollars over the past few decades, trying to find a way to remove these plaques from the brain.
The whole point about Alzheimer's was now we have a genetic group of people that definitely have this beta amyloid. So all the research then focused on what drug, because that's how the pharmaceuticals make money. What's crazy is that I think there was like 6 or 7 drug companies, and they were all trying to find this antibody or some cure for this beta amyloid, and nobody ever found it. I think Biogen sank $18 billion into looking for this drug on this one immunotherapy, Aduhelm, and they were sure that that was going to do it. They submitted it to FDA twice, and they turned them down in 2019. That tells me if you have 5 drug companies that have been looking at it for 20 years for something that will stop beta amyloid, and nothing has ever worked.
Now, Barry, what all these big drug companies haven't been able to achieve with their billions of dollars spent, guess what? Can be accomplished with a centuries-old superfood, kimchi. Did you see the headline of this study, Barry? Yeah. Bioactive compounds in kimchi actually improve the cognitive and memory functions impaired by these sticky guys called amyloid beta.
So what makes kimchi so effective? I mean, there's other fermented vegetables and food, but what makes kimchi so effective?
Well, it's the unique probiotic strains that are in kimchi that actually help the body's internal cleaning crew identify and break down these plaques more efficiently. And while we're not at the stage yet quite there of calling it a cure, kimchi provides the biological tools the body needs to keep its neural pathways clear. And it's a food. It's not a drug. Another major factor behind Alzheimer's and dementia is neuroinflammation. Think of it as a low-grade fire that's kind of smoldering in your brain that's going to eventually destroy your neurons. Now, kimchi comes in and acts like a fire extinguisher for that brain inflammation. And kimchi is packed with anti-inflammatory bacteria. Now, when these bacteria break down the cabbage and the garlic that are in kimchi, they create what's called metabolites. And those travel through your bloodstream and tell the brain's immune system to calm down. And by putting out this microscopic fire, kimchi is actually helping preserve the physical structure of your brain.
One of the things with kimchi, and I had mentioned this in a previous interview, Robin was afraid of the spices, but on the, I don't know if it's the spice or the heat of it or something, but I noticed that when I take, whether it's kimchi or other foods that have high spice, it actually makes me feel better. Does that have anything to do with the effect and effectiveness of kimchi?
I think it's the whole combination, the synergistic effect. But yes, when you're taking spicier foods, they actually can open up the pathways. So it's better for blood flow. It's you get more blood flow to the brain. So this is very, very good. Now, because your brain, I don't know if you know this, it has a security system called a blood-brain barrier that actually keeps toxins out. But as we're aging, Barry, this barrier gets leaky, if you will, and it allows harmful chemicals to enter and damage our brain cells. Now, kimchi, the good bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids, and these fatty acids act like a repair glue for your body's barriers by strengthening your gut lining and your blood-brain barrier. Kimchi is ensuring that only the good nutrients reach your neurons while keeping brain fog, which so many people have these days. It keeps that brain fog inducing toxin, those brain fog inducing toxins out.
Now, I've seen it for myself. I just want you to kind of explain to people, if kimchi has the ability to protect our cognitive health, does it also impact things like our mood, our emotional well-being, anger, things of those type of things?
Oh, yes, big time. I mean, we used to think that our brain was solely responsible for our moods, but now we know the gut produces about 95% of our body's serotonin, the happiness hormone. That's a neurotransmitter as well, and a significant amount of GABA. That's the calm hormone. And what happens is during the fermentation of kimchi, it naturally produces GABA. So when you eat it, you're essentially consuming a natural, mild anti-anxiety treatment. And furthermore, the healthy bacteria in kimchi, like lactobacillus, is creating the perfect environment for your gut to pump out more serotonin, which can directly combat the depression and anxiety that so many people are feeling. And these two conditions, those are often early warning signs or accelerants of dementia.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So it's pretty interesting. With me, the kimchi and the fermented part of everything helps me, it seems like, because of the extra spice. Doctor said that's helping my blood sugar. Was that just a side benefit of this stuff?
Definitely. It definitely is. I mean, there's so many benefits to kimchi. It's unreal. I mean, people need to understand what we eat has such a tremendous impact on our cognitive health. It impacts our levels of inflammation and oxidative stress. But more importantly, there is a direct link between the gut and the brain. And this is known as the gut-brain axis. Now, this gut-brain axis, if you will, is kind of like a highway between your gut and your brain. And it involves the nerves like the vagus nerve, hormones, and immune signals, where they constantly are sending messages affecting your mood, your digestion, your stress, and even cognitive function. Think of your gut as your second brain. It talks to your actual brain, and it's going to influence everything from anxiety to appetite. And here's another thing to think about. Doctors, when they target brain diseases, they often prescribe medications in an effort to directly target the brain.
Yeah.
They forget about what's the root cause, or maybe they don't even know what the root cause is because they haven't been educated to look at the root cause. They treat symptoms. That's what they've been trained in, instead of curing the problem. But you can find the root cause of problems in the brain, just like most other areas of the body, like you mentioned, blood sugar, within your gut microbiome, because of the balance of the good and the bad bacteria. Well, a stunning scientific breakthrough is reshaping what we know about Alzheimer's disease. And researchers have managed to transfer the symptoms of the illness to healthy rats simply by transplanting gut bacteria. And this discovery could actually revolutionize how we diagnose and treat one of the world's most devastating forms of dementia, Barry.
It's interesting because now it seems like other people are catching on, to this gut-brain axis. Is this relatively new? Did people not know that the connection existed, or did doctors and nutritionists just ignore it?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, they're finally catching up to look at different areas of the body where before they just were, they were taught in a box, and it was just write prescriptions if you have these symptoms. So I think thank goodness it's actually evolving where people are understanding better. And, the thing too, Barry, is so many people are now more and more interested in understanding eating fermented foods are an important part of their diet. I mean, I am hearing so often from people that they're eating sauerkraut or they're eating yogurt, but then they say, but I don't need to eat kimchi then because I'm eating these other fermented foods in my diet. Now, I tell them, all fermented foods are great for you. Don't stop eating them. But what I want you to understand is nothing compares to kimchi. Let me give you an example. Sauerkraut only contains 28 different probiotic strains. And when you have a healthy gut, it's all about diversity. So 28 different probiotic strains, that pales in comparison to kimchi with its over 900 strains of beneficial bacteria, right? So sauerkraut's got lots of health benefits, but there's a clear reason why all the studies that are coming out are about kimchi.
Right.
They're not about other fermented foods. I mean, these strains in kimchi berry, such as the Lactobacillus plantarum, are noted for being particularly hardy. They ensure more live bacteria actually survive that journey to your gut to prevent their neuroprotective work. And then also, many probiotics will actually die in the harsh acid environment of our stomach acids before they even reach our gut. And the advantage of kimchi is that the physical cabbage, the fiber, acts as a protective vehicle. And it's kind of like body armor, shielding this bacteria during the digestion, ensuring a much higher percentage of those live microbes actually safely arrive in your intestines where they can begin communicating with your brain. And another advantage of kimchi, too, Barry, is unlike many things like kefirs and yogurts, which are often sweetened, traditional kimchi is providing its benefits in a very savory, low-calorie package that typically does not cause blood sugar spikes that can negatively impact cognitive function. But another major cause of dementia that I just thought about is poor vascular health. And kefir and sauerkraut are healthy, but kimchi acts as a specialized tool for your cardiovascular system. So your doctor's seeing the results of kimchi probably there because it's a primary delivery route for your brain. And there's a study that showed kimchi's powerful ability to impact cardiovascular health. Now, the consumption of kimchi was shown to regulate blood sugar, just as you mentioned earlier, balance blood pressure, you mentioned your doctor liking that, and lowers your bad cholesterol. And we've talked a lot about how kimchi impacts our cognitive abilities and our cardiovascular health, but through the gut, kimchi positively affects all areas of health in the body.
Are there any problems that you see in terms of being able to eat enough kimchi?
Well, yeah, because the only problem is, kimchi is not something that's easy to consume every day. So what we did is we created Kimchi One. That we've taken kimchi and put it in convenient capsules for daily use. We use a cold process drying method to retain all the fiber and nutrition of the actual fermented kimchi, and virtually no sodium, unlike store-bought kimchi. 100% made in the USA, all natural, non-GMO. And we have so many successes coming in from people about Kimchi One after they use it for a couple of weeks. People who had problems with their digestion and bloating are finally regular. People who had problems with their immune system and used to get sick all the time aren't getting sick anymore. People who experienced chronic fatigue finally have energy again. And people with diabetes who struggle with their blood sugar, blood pressure, and their weight are experiencing dramatic changes.
I mean, I personally, like I've said a couple times when we've talked, I personally see the benefit of it. I always interject if you're having any sort of how can I say backed upness, it helps with that. The energy down here, I get a cold I could almost set my watch by it. And this time, other than affecting my voice, because I had talked 6 hours a day, it felt better within like 3 or 4 days. So I have to be a complete underscore of everything. I want to underscore everything that Kim is saying. So Kim, do you have, as usual, any specific offer for the Fanfare viewers?
Yeah, you can go to brightcore.com/Barry using the code Barry to get 25% off your order. Or you can call us at 888-418-6738 to get up to 50% off your order plus free shipping. And the first 100 callers are going to get a free bottle of our Revive capsules with their order. Now, Revive contains 5 types of collagen, hyaluronic acid, biotin, and vitamin C, going to reduce wrinkles, help you grow thicker, healthier hair, and even support stronger bones and joints. Now, remember, you're only going to get those best discounts in that free bottle of Revive capsules when you call. So that number again is 888-418-6738.
Kim, thank you very, very much for your time this morning and explaining this about Lewy body. That was very interesting. I'm sure there's people right now who have relatives that you can usually tell where things are headed, and maybe now it gives them an opportunity to really understand what's happening in somebody's body like that. So I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.